Josh Allen has been so good.
Fires into the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo!
I have to talk about Justin Herbert. They have unlocked him being confident.
Spins off, dive to the end zone, touchdown, Chargers!
The white tiger himself, Rob Gronkowski. All Gronk has done over the past couple weeks is get a little more settled.
He makes the catch. Holy guacamole!
Who else is he putting on the wagon? Find out next. It's all about the Dan Wagon. Toot toot, Dan Wagon time. All right, hey, listen, Rob Gronkowski's really taken off in recent weeks. Perhaps part of his recent appearance on the Dan Wagon. We're not sure. We're going to find out. In any case, Gronk's making the most of his 2020 season with 5 receptions of 20 or more yards. That's second among tight ends behind only Travis Kelce. That's a whole lot of fun. All right, this week, we got to find out who's going to be on the Dan Wagon. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm going to go north with my wagon. I like that sound effect. Going Justin Jefferson, the Minnesota Vikings rookie receiver. And this is why. He's become a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Not rookie, a top 10 receiver in the NFL. His toughness, his ability to make the big play. He's been outstanding in the red zone route running. Check this out. Every time they throw him the ball, he averages 15 yards. Every time they throw him the ball, he averages 15 yards. That's more over the last 10 seasons than Odell Beckham. That's more than Julio Jones. At this point, he's got more receiving yards than Odell did his rookie year. He has become a big-time playmaking number 1 wide receiver. And my guess is he will do more than he's done up at this point. He'll be exploding after this kind of spot on the Dan Wagon. It'll be a hit.
Once you get a seat on the Dan Wagon, you just...
Dude, we've had Herbert, we've had Gronk, we've had Key's favorite player, Josh Allen.
Key loves the Dan Wagon. All right, we're going to leave it there because we don't want to get bogged down with the Dan Wagon. I will say the great thing about Justin Jefferson is he can also dance. He's got great moves.
I've done it on the show.
I know. We're not going to do that right now.
Justin and Dan can dance.
That's a bright spot for the wide receiver position. But as we look at the injury report, the news gets worse for the wideouts. Shefty, you already told us at the top of the show that Julian Edelman would be out this week against the Bills. There's some other big names, though, at the position that we need to be aware of. What's the latest about Michael Thomas in New Orleans?
Lord, not all news is bad. Michael Thomas actually returned to practice today, and he's been out since week 1 since suffering the high ankle sprain on this particular play and then suffering a grade 1 hamstring strain during practice last week. But he was back at practice today, an encouraging sign for his availability Sunday against the Chicago Bears, who could be without Allen Robinson, who remains in concussion protocol. The Chicago Bears took this big hit on Monday night. Obviously, a short week makes it even tougher for Robinson to come back to play this week against the New Orleans Saints, who could have Michael Thomas back. And Chris Godwin obviously had surgery on that fractured finger this week. And Bruce Arians last night talked about the fact that it could be longer than just 1 week, but that's why the Buccaneers have the quote-unquote the insurance policy. And the insurance policy is Antonio Brown, who during his workout yesterday, Bruce Arians said looked tremendous. And so Antonio Brown is on track to be back in week 9. And we don't know if Chris Godwin will be back then, but the Buccaneers appear set at receiver anyway.
Yeah, I mean, listen, some people, Adam, said maybe they don't even need Antonio Brown, but they are dealing with some health issues on that wide receiver core, so maybe it makes sense. Thanks for that. And as you mentioned, it has been a tough week for some of these wide receivers at the position, but it started with the loss of Odell Beckham Jr. on Sunday.
He's going long down the sideline, and that's intercepted.
I'm probably going to beat myself up about that one for a long time.
And Beckham is down and injured on the play.
Incredibly disappointed for him.
He's the guy that fights for this team, and doing that, he got hurt, and that one sucks.
He's got a torn ACL. He will not play again this season.
I just hate to see that.
A lot of our offense has been solely based on having Odell on the field.
The energy he brings to the games, no one else is going to be able to bring that type of juice. But the guys understand that the show must go on, and what's at stake, and that the guys have to step up.
All right, so the offense is going to look a little different. But look, here's the thing. The Browns have made their intentions quite clear with Kevin Stefanski at the helm. They're rushing on 67% of their first down plays. That's by far the highest rate in the league this season. In fact, the only team with a higher rate over the last 10 seasons is the 2014 Cowboys. Remember, DeMarco Murray on that team ran for over 1,800 yards and 13 touchdowns that season. So, Dan, where do you think that Odell Beckham Jr.'s absence will be felt the most on Sunday?
Yeah, it'll be in the run game. You know, every Monday, defensive coordinators have to sit down and they have to formulate their plan to stop certain offenses, right? And so one of the first questions that they have to ask when playing the Browns is, okay, what do we do with Odell? Like, do we have a corner that we feel comfortable putting in one-on-one situations? And if we don't, that means we have to have a safety over to that side or over the top with help. That body is now no longer near the line of scrimmage. That helps the run game. It's one less body or a half a body that's down there to stop that run by Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb and this Browns offense. You know, I played with Andre Johnson and Calvin Johnson and Reggie Wayne, and I remember our coaches would be very specific, like, hey, if we're going to run this run play, let's run it towards those guys. They knew that defenses would usually add two people in coverage to that single receiver. And so it helped our run game so much. So, like, some of those 5-yard runs that turn into 12-yard runs may not anymore because there's going to be an extra body or half body down near the ball. So I think the greatest impact is going to be in that Browns run game and really some of those chunk runs, those 10-plus yard runs. And don't also keep, like, he was really good blocking this year. I know people don't like to talk about that with the diva wide receiver Odell is that people think, but, like, he was really good blocking downfield.
I think the offense will still run as usual, right? I think that when you look at what they would do, whether it's Higgins in the lineup, People Jones in the lineup, whether Landry's getting the ball, to me, that's not – Odell isn't the problem. The problem is Baker Mayfield. Being able to understand how much better he could potentially be by not locking on to his favorite receiver, not locking on to number 13. You know, Dan, as a quarterback, you find the guy that you trust the most no matter what the play is called because that's the guy who's delivered for you. That's the guy you have a rapport with. And I think by removing Odell from the lineup, now he has to go through his progression, C1, C2, get to 3. If it's not there, check it down to somebody, opposed to staying locked on, zeroed in, only on Odell Beckham.
Well, I'm glad you guys had that offensive talk because, you know, that's usually what we're talking about with the Cleveland Browns. But I'm going to take you to the other side of the ball because I think they fly under the radar for not being very good because we are so focused on Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. and what this offense is doing. When you look at the Cleveland Browns defense, and we're talking in context of if Cleveland can legitimately be a team to make a deep playoff run and get into the Super Bowl, and they're going to have to get tremendously better, guys. They are 29th in the NFL against the pass. They're 21st ranked overall defense, and they are ranked 30th in points giving up 31 points a game. And we saw Joe Burrow having a successful outing. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because Las Vegas Raiders can gut you offensively if they have it going. We've seen Derek Carr and his unit against the New Orleans Saints. We've seen them against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we know what type of potential they have to have offensive firepower. So as much as we talk about Baker Mayfield and the loss of OBJ, which is going to be a huge impact, in my opinion, you look across the ball, there's some things that they need to get fixed in a hurry in Cleveland defensively, especially playing against the teams that they have on their schedule.
Yeah, Marcus, you pick up a great point because the Raiders' offense is really good. I'd say on defense, like, they just lack really good communication. I mean, there's so many different times where guys run just uncovered in their secondary. I think this is a really big week for Cleveland because they obviously have a really big win last week. And Marcus, you brought up this point, like, all right, it was the Bengals. You know, this team with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback is 5-12 against teams that are 500 or better. So relatively average to above average football teams. Cincinnati's not one. They're 5-12. Baker's got 24 touchdowns and 25 picks. So I want to go back to the point that you made at the beginning of the week. Like, all right, you did it against the Bengals. Now do it against a team that we all think the Raiders are a good, solid football team. It's going to take, it's going to take the defense playing better, and Baker's got to have another good game. You can't do it 1 week in the NFL.
Well, and you brought up the point, Dan, that without OBJ, it can hurt them in the run game. No team has faced 7 or more defenders in the box this season more than the Cleveland Browns. So they see that all the time. People know how they want to defend them. All right, a big matchup in the NFC West. And just what if the 49ers defense keeps Russell Wilson